Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt. Welcome to the New Brit Workshop. Well, I've taken delivery today of my brand new Parf dogs being made under the Veritas name by Lee Valley. They're made of stainless steel, they're fantastic, and they're on the bench in front of me. Now, these brand new Parf dogs from Veritas have associated with them a brand new design of small bench dog. And these are also made of stainless steel and have the same boss size as the Parf dog. That is 25 millimeters in diameter and 10 millimeters high. And they each share the same 8 millimeter screwed thread through the center of the dog. And in the case of the small bench dog, that thread goes all the way through. Now, the Festool MFT3 is a great bit of kit. I know because I've bought one, I've reviewed it, and I've said so. However, it's quite a big bit of kit. If you've got a small workshop, then some of these things may get in the way when they're not in use. And if you're a mobile user, breaking the whole thing down to put it in the back of a truck and then set it up again can sometimes be a bit of a pain. Now compare all of this to this. Or this. Or like this. Using these Parf dogs on the MFT3 for 90 degree and 45 degree cuts is pretty easy, and you're going to get repeatable, accurate cuts time and time again. Now, when you're setting up for a cut using the Parf dogs, for a bit of extra stability and therefore a bit of extra accuracy, you can screw these tightly down to the bench using either these knobs, which come with the clamp that goes with the MFT3, or you can make up your own clamping arrangement by just using an 8 millimeter bolt and a washer. And in fact, Lee Valley sell knobs like this for, I think it's about $1.50. And you just screw them up from underneath. And that now holds that Parf dog absolutely rigid. And that's the other one done, so that's nice and solid now. Now I'm set up for a cut. I've got the Parf dogs in and they're secured from underneath, and I've got one of the small dogs that accompany the Parf dogs there. So my piece of wood has the reference edge marked in red, so you can see it up here, and it's pushed up against there. I'm now going to put my rail in place up against the Parf dogs here. I'm going to place my saw on the guide rail, and then I'm going to do a cut. Now, a number of things I want you to note. First of all, the TS55 did not have any interference from this Parf dog, which is at the end. The cut was a clean cut, and the piece of stock is 51 centimeters in width. And we'll check the squareness of the cut now. There's my reference edge there, and you can see it is absolutely spot on. I was asked how to set up a cut where the stock is relatively narrow and therefore the guide rail is not properly supported. Well, it's quite simple. Take a piece of wood which is of a similar thickness to the piece you're about to cut and pop it under the guide rail. Make sure the piece you're cutting is fully in place, the guide rail's in place, and then you go about your cut in the normal manner. There is a chance that if you're cutting something so wide that you can't get this rear Parf dog far enough this way that when you do your plunge, that the saw body may touch that Parf dog. Well, this is what you do. If you do not wish to turn your orientation of cut around, so you're sawing this way, then you can use a spacer. You just move that over, make up a spacer which is parallel, and I keep this one all the time just in case, and then you set up your cut like so, and that way there is no way that your saw body can touch that Parf dog. So you're at a job site and the boss says to you, right, you've got to cut 50 sheets of flooring and they've got to be nice and square, and you've got no MFT3 to help you. What are you going to do? Well, it's dead easy. You're going to take a piece of ordinary MDF, chipboard, whatever it might be, and you're going to drill 4 20mm holes in it. And they've got to be set up really nice and accurately. And the key thing is you've got to find some means of making sure it's going to be square. I've already checked this sheet and that corner there is dead square. So I'm going to use this edge and that top edge as my reference. I'm going to put a mark here and a mark here. Now, I am useless at drilling holes absolutely perpendicular, so I've got a little helper here. It's a block of wood, and in it I've drilled a hole which is 20mm across, and I did this with a Forstner bit. I did this on my drill press. So you do this before you set out for work in the morning. And that goes in quite a long way, and then it's finished off up here with a hole which is 8mm in diameter, which is perfect to take this drill bit, and it's going to keep it nice and square. I'm going to attach my drill there, and I've got center lines here and here, so I know exactly how this should be set up. So just take a bit of time getting this set up. And now I have a perfect hole cut at a right angle, and it's in the exact right place. And when you've finished the cut, just disconnect the drill from the bit and push like so, and there we go. And you'll see that all of the waste material has found plenty of space up behind the drill bit, and it doesn't clog, and it makes an absolute perfect hole. So all you've got to do now is take out your Parf dogs, put them in place. And I'll put one of the smaller dogs that go with the Parf dogs there. And so there's my piece of wood I'm about to cut. It's pushed up against the dogs up there, and the guide rail is nice and securely against the Parf dogs here. So I'm ready to do my cut. So you arrive at work for the next day, and oh, you've left your guide rail at home. What are you going to do? Well, it's dead easy. Find yourself a straight edge. Doesn't need to be anything very special, as long as it's straight and obviously sufficiently good for the task. You do need to have this guide rail secured in place, and the reason for that is dead simple. It does not have the anti-slip rubbery stuff underneath, and so it needs a bit of a help. So you've got a guide rail in place. You need to measure from the edge of your saw to where the saw blade is, and make an allowance when you position that guide rail, and then you just do another cut. Don't forget, your depth of cut with a TS55 is going to be the depth you actually want. You don't need to make the allowance for the guide rail. And away you go. Right, that's fine. Now you know, have another bad day. Not only do you leave your MFT3 at home and your guide rail, but you also leave your saw. What do you do? Well, find yourself a straight edge again, go round the job site, find another carpenter and borrow any old circular saw from him. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's going to be one which is going to be safe and adequate for the job. Again, you need to measure to where the saw blade will cut when you set your cuts up, and away you go, time and time again. No problem at all. Just don't forget your sandwiches. Now, getting set up for repetitive cuts is very important, particularly if you've got a lot of them to do. And having things so you can reconfigure them quickly is also pretty useful. So there we go, simple little gadget, and they just take a couple of minutes to make. I did a 26mm large hole first, and then I counterbored with the 20mm all the way through, and that gives it a nice easy fit. Now the Festool MFT3 is a perfect platform to set up jig work, and the Parf dogs and the small bench dogs are perfect companions. And I'm going to show you now how it's very easy to do some simple joints to butt together some bits of 4x2. I'm going to put a pair of dominoes in here, and I'll show you just how easy it is. My dominoes got a 10mm cutter in it. I've set the height so it's roughly halfway through the height of this stock, and here we go. Now note that the domino is against the Parf dog in each of these operations. That's it. Those joints are done. Put in a couple of dominoes, just like this. And these are just little short ones I've made up especially for this demonstration. And there we go. Easy. Right, the final thing I'm going to show you is how to do some basic trammel work. Now, what I've got set up on the MFT3 is a Parf dog, which has been screwed in from underneath, so it's secured at this end. And I've got some of the small bench dogs, 3 of them, 2 there and 1 there, which are helping to keep my piece of wood in the right place. Now, I could do a righter operation on this, but what I'm going to be using is my jigsaw. Now, I'm going to do a cut all the way around in a curve, and I've not secured this piece of wood with a clamp. If you're going to set this up yourself, you must make sure that whatever you do, you set it up so it's safe, and you've checked it, and you know exactly what you're doing. And there we have a perfect curve in this piece of wood. Well, I've done my best in this short video to introduce you to the capabilities of the Parf dogs and the associated small bench dogs from Lee Valley. I'm really proud that my design has got the Veritas seal of approval. It's a big thing for me, I can assure you. You've seen how the Parf dogs can be used for cutting on the MFT3, cutting without the MFT3, doing trammel work, helping you with your jigs to do various bits of jointing and so on. And I'm sure you're going to find many, many more ways that the Parf dog and the associated small bench dog can be used to help you. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.